The courtroom in Port Charles has seen its share of chaos, fistfights in the gallery, surprise confessions, last-minute witnesses bursting through the doors, but nothing quite compares to the suffocating tension hanging in the air today. The polished wooden benches gleam under harsh fluorescent lights, the American flag stands stiff and unmoving, and every breath feels amplified. At the center of it all sits Willow Tate, pale, trembling, her hands folded tightly in her lap as if that alone might hold her together. Today, Willow takes the stand. And with that single step forward, Alexis Davis gambles everything. From the moment Willow's name is called, a ripple moves through the room. It starts with hushed whispers and ends in total silence. Michael Corinthos leans forward, his jaw clenched so tightly it looks painful. Across the aisle, Nina Reeves presses her fingers together, eyes glistening, torn between fear and hope. Carly Spencer sits rigid, arms crossed, prepared for battle but unable to mask the flicker of concern in her eyes.
This isn't just another day in court. This is a reckoning.
Willow rises slowly, as if standing too quickly might shatter her. Her knees wobble, and for a terrifying second it looks like she might collapse. Michael half stands, instinct screaming at him to rush to her side, but Willow steadies herself.
She draws a breath. Then another. She walks to the witness stand.
And Alexis Davis watches her with the careful gaze of a woman who knows this moment could make, or destroy, everything she's worked for. Alexis Davis has argued hundreds of cases. She's defended murderers, dismantled corrupt power structures, and stared down prosecutors who thought they had her beat.
But this feels different.
Because this time, the weapon she's placing in the courtroom is a fragile, grieving young woman whose heart is already in pieces.
Putting Willow on the stand was not a decision Alexis made lightly.
In fact, she fought it for days. The prosecution had already painted Willow as manipulative, emotionally unstable, and unreliable.
They were waiting for her to crack, to cry, to contradict herself,
to unravel. But Alexis knows something they don't, or at least, she's betting on it.
Willow's truth isn't polished. It isn't neat. It's raw, jagged, and soaked in pain.
And sometimes, Alexis believes, a jury doesn't need perfection.
It needs humanity. Still, the risk is enormous. One wrong answer.
One emotional spiral. One moment where grief overtakes reason, and Alexis' entire defense strategy could implode. As the bailiff administers the oath, Alexis closes her eyes for just a second. When she opens them, Willow is already crying. I swear, Willow says, her voice cracking so badly it barely resembles speech. The tears come fast. Too fast. They spill down her cheeks unchecked, her breath hitching as she grips the edge of the witness stand like a lifeline. The judge raises an eyebrow, clearly considering whether to call a recess, but Alexis subtly shakes her head.
No. This has to happen now.
Alexis approaches slowly, her heels echoing softly against the courtroom floor. She keeps her voice low, gentle, nothing like the sharp, commanding tone she uses with hostile witnesses. Willow, Alexis begins, can you tell the court how you're feeling right now?
Willow lets out a broken laugh that turns into a sob.
Like everyone's watching me fall apart.
A murmur ripples through the gallery.
Alexis nods, as if that's exactly the answer she expected.
And why do you think that is?
Because everything I love keeps getting taken from me, Willow says, her voice rising with emotion. And now they are saying I did something horrible on top of all that.
Her eyes flick to the jury. To Michael. To Nina. To my kids, she whispers.
That's when something shifts.
The jurors lean in.
From the prosecution's table, the assistant district attorney watches with thinly veiled anticipation.
This is exactly what they want.
A visibly emotional witness is a vulnerable witness, and a vulnerable witness is easy to dismantle. They scribble notes furiously.
Inconsistencies. Emotional manipulation. Crocodile tears. They'll argue it all. Alexis knows this. She feels the pressure building with every sob that shakes Willow's shoulders. Still, she presses forward.
Willow, Alexis asks softly, have you ever intentionally lied to protect someone you love?
The question lands like a thunderclap.
Michael's head snaps up.
Carly stiffens.
Nina's breath catches in her throat.
Willow hesitates. Too long.
Yes, she finally says, her voice barely audible. The prosecution smiles. Alexis' heart slams against her ribs, but she keeps her face neutral.
This was expected. Planned, even.
The risk is deliberate.
Why? Alexis asks.
Because sometimes, Willow says through tears. The truth hurts people more than lies.
And I thought I was doing the right thing.
Did you benefit from those lies?
Alexis presses. Willow shakes her head violently. No. God, no. They made everything worse.
The judge leans forward now, clearly engaged. Alexis takes a breath.
This is the edge of the cliff.
Willow, she says carefully, are you lying today?
Willow looks straight at the jury. No, she says, louder now. Stronger.
I'm telling the truth, even though it terrifies me. As Willow speaks, the courtroom seems to fade, replaced by flashes of memory that haunt her words.
Nights spent crying alone. Hospital rooms filled with fear.
The crushing guilt of secrets kept too long. She talks about manipulation, how powerful people pulled strings around her life while she was too sick, too scared, or too trusting to see it clearly. She doesn't name names at first, but the implications are unmistakable.
Alexis watches closely. This is where things could spiral.
Were you coerced into making decisions you didn't fully understand?
Alexis asks.
Yes, Willow answers without hesitation.
The prosecution leaps to their feet.
Objection. Leading the witness. Sustained, the judge says, though his tone suggests reluctance. Alexis nods, unfazed.
She pivots.
Willow, she says, did anyone ever threaten you, directly or indirectly, to stay silent?
The room goes deadly quiet.
Willow's eyes flicker with fear. For a moment, it looks like she might shut down completely.
Then she exhales shakily.
Yes.
A gasp ripples through the courtroom.
Michael's fists clench.
Nina's hand flies to her mouth.
Carly mutters something under her breath that sounds suspiciously like a curse. Alexis feels the weight of it settle over the room.
This is it.
By allowing Willow to testify about coercion and threats, Alexis is opening the door to something massive, something uncontrollable.
The prosecution will demand specifics.
Names.
Proof.
And if Willow can't deliver, they'll tear her apart. But Alexis also knows this. Silence would have been a slow death anyway. Who threatened you? The prosecution demands the second Alexis finishes her line of questioning. Alexis objects immediately, but the judge allows it, conditionally. Willow's entire body trembles. She looks to Alexis, panic flashing in her eyes.
This wasn't the plan.
Alexis stands, her voice firm but calm. Your Honor, my client has been under extreme emotional and psychological distress, forcing her to identify. Answer the question, the judge says gently to Willow. And in that moment, Alexis realizes just how far out on the limb she's gone. This isn't just a legal gamble anymore.
It's personal. Willow swallows hard.
Tears continue to fall, but something else appears to resolve. I was told, she says slowly, that if I talked, people I loved would suffer. That my children wouldn't be safe. That the truth would destroy everything.
The courtroom erupts into whispers.
The judge bangs his gavel. Order. Michael looks like he might explode out of his seat.
Carly's eyes blaze. Nina looks shattered. Alexis closes her eyes briefly. This is bigger than any of them.
The prosecution attempts to regain control, peppering Willow with sharp, aggressive questions meant to rattle her.
But something unexpected happens. Willow doesn't break. She cries. She trembles. But she doesn't crumble.
I'm done being afraid, she says at one point, her voice ringing out clear and strong. They took enough from me already. The jury watches her, not as a defendant, but as a survivor. As Willow steps down from the stand, her legs nearly give out. Michael is at her side in an instant, steadying her. The judge calls a recess, and the courtroom buzzes with frantic speculation. Alexis remains seated, staring at her notes without really seeing them. She's just set off a chain reaction she may not be able to control. By putting Willow on the stand, Alexis has cracked open the case, but she's also invited scrutiny into every dark corner of Port Charles' power dynamics. If Willow's claims are substantiated, this trial could become a full-blown scandal involving threats, manipulation, and corruption at the highest levels.
And if they aren't? Alexis could lose everything. Her reputation. Her license. Her case. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarm. Inside, alliances shift. Enemies take notes.
Willow's testimony has changed the narrative, but the verdict is far from decided. As court resumes, one thing is clear. There's no turning back. The prosecution will come harder. New witnesses may emerge. Old secrets won't stay buried much longer. And Alexis Davis will have to decide just how much more she's willing to risk to protect her client. For Willow, the tears she shed on the stand were real, but so was her strength. She faced her fear, spoke her truth, and survived the moment that terrified her most. Whether that will be enough to save her remains to be seen.
But one thing is certain in Port Charles. After today, nothing will ever be the same.